Thanks very much, Franca. Master of Ceremonies, thank you. Welcome. And I just want to recognize Deputy Mayor Dr. Ferry Hussein, the moderator of the Presbyterian Church, Reverend Joy Abdul Mohan. It's a real pleasure because we not only know you as the Reverend, but we are old and long friends. This is really a pleasure to have you here. Just want to start with a quote which I saw recently and thought it applicable and really hits the nail on the head. The value of our lives cannot be determined by what we do for ourselves. The value of our lives is determined by what we can do for others. Welcome to CVRS and Trinidad Eye Hospital, the San Fernando branch, here at Maska, where our vision, as you've heard before, is a world where everyone sees. I am Dr. Ronnie Bola, the Chief Surgeon at the Trinidad Eye Hospital, Director of Caribbean Vitreous and Retina Surgery Limited, and Chairman of the Board. I would like to thank you all for coming today to celebrate this milestone in our transformation, in our eye care journey as we move from being a practice to an organization. I would like to thank all those who supported the mission and vision. The doctors who joined us, Dr. Vineet Kumar from far, far, far away, Dr. Dorian Dwarika. They have committed to this journey to help patients and to help develop. The trainees, Dr. Zarid Mohammed, Dr. Vikash Bidesi, who believe in the vision and want to learn and develop. The hard-working staff who were kind to patients every day, showing the empathy and compassion in conditions which for years have not been ideal. Tough working hours. To the patients who trust us every day to manage their eye health problems. To the media, who is not here. But they always give us a platform to amplify our word, to be able to reach more people, to be able to educate. To our general manager and her team, who planned and executed this project efficiently, on time and within budget, and who continues to show great leadership qualities, developing systems and processes which we never had, which will take us into the future. So I really like to tell stories. So I'll tell 3 stories. The first one I call commitment and dedication. And I'll give an example. So we started to work doing eye care in around 2008. At that time, the organization was 2. It was me and Pravita, who sits over there very quietly and always in the background. But in 2008, she wasn't really in the background. She was really the backbone of everything. And I did my part, but she did everything else. So we went around Trinidad doing eye clinics. And we drove a 20-year-old car. That was my father's old car. He had died 2 years before, so I kind of inherited the car by default. So we used to take the car and go. And then after a few years, the practice grew around her. And she told me we cannot go to clinic at 6 o'clock together. So I will go when I get up. I get up at 3:30, by the way, every day. It's normal. So I say, okay, well, if you want to go, go ahead. But it was because the patients started to come 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And they were waiting a long time. And she wanted to prepare everything for before I arrived. So we went along like that. And after about 5 years, one day I went to the clinic. And I got there, usual time, about 6. And there was no Pravita. So at that stage, it was 5 years after, we had 2 other helpers, right? So 2 other people were there. So they were kind of hustling around now, trying to get everything ready, not doing a good job. And I was there. Well, I wasn't that nervous because I knew, well, hey, I could do it a little break here. When she's here, we really had to get going, So about 6:15, I was calling her frantically for the last half hour, and she wasn't answering. And then she came a little later on, and in Profita style, she just started to do everything, get everything organized. And we had our busiest clinic that day. For 9 hours we went without break. And we finished about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Everybody went home. So me and Pravita sat in a corner. So I asked her, well, what happened? So she basically showed me her shoulder. And it was bruised. So I didn't say a word, So then I looked at her hand, and it was bruised all the way down, So I said to her, I don't know what to say. She said, well, about 4:30, somebody robbed her. And they assaulted her. So she then said, well, she had to borrow money because she didn't have any money to come. So people gave her some money, and she traveled and come. And it dawned on me, that statement about doing things for others and not for yourself was just epitomized by that story, It also demonstrated the commitment and dedication of people when they know they have to do something for people who can't do something for themselves. Had very little to do with me and my practice. What I see today in the organization is more and more Pravitas growing within the organization, which has catapulted the organization forward in a fast, exponential growth. We have the Priyankas, we have the Gails, and they dedicate their lives to this project. And that is what will drive it, to become not only the South Eye Center, which is what you're going to see here, but we're going to build something of national significance and make a real huge impact on the nation and the region. So that's story 1. The next story is on purpose. What drives us to do what we do? And a lot of people ask, well, why do I do it? Or why did I do it? And I think it's important for people to know. So I am the last of 5 boys because because my sister, who is Gail, is a tomboy. Yes, as Joy would know. I think they thought I am the last of all these boys, and I think they thought I was an indentured laborer. So we would come home from school, and this is just one example. Everybody was allowed to sit on the chairs or the couch. We had one couch. I had to sit on the floor. Then they would say, take off shoes. So they didn't say, they just point at the shoes. So I took off the shoes, socks. They point at the TV, I go put on the TV. They point again, I go change the channel, come back. They point at the fridge, I go to the fridge, bring water, whatever. Then you're watching the TV and you get a tap on the head, that means change the channel. So you go change the channel, you come back. So I grew up with these in this way, so much so that we played a lot of, well, we were supposed to be playing sports, but when we play, they always put me wherever they want. So by the age of about 10, I already had 10 bus heads and was in the accident and emergency on a regular basis. So I was accustomed with public service by then. My mother was no help. She would say boys would be boys. Well, what? This is no way to, try to curb the trouble, So by the time I reached about 14, I started to realize that the service in this hospital is terrible. Before that, I was kind of clueless to it, And I realized, I was waiting long here. They took long. They kind of rough you up all the time, And you never know what's going to happen to you, except that it's really painful to have stitches, because the anesthetic never worked. So I started to realize, probably we could do this a little better. Be a little more kind to people, more compassionate. And I thought if I ever got the opportunity, I would want to make a difference, And that gave me purpose. I think in hardship, you find purpose. And that's a key thing. You must have some hardship to really learn and get your purpose. So the third story is perseverance and belief in God and self. So why I chose medicine is beyond me. I was good at maths and physics and terrible at biology and chemistry. And everybody told me, all my teachers said, do something else, don't do medicine. But my father was so excited about me going to medical school, I don't think he even heard that there was another school somewhere else, But I really didn't know the difference between medical school or any other school, so I went, thinking, hey, it must be easy, you got in, So I went along. I didn't realize that I was dyslexic for reading and writing. And at medical school, there was a lot of reading, and there was a hell of a lot of writing, So it was a real struggle in the beginning, and I realized I was good at listening and remembering. So let me just work on listening and remembering, and then maybe it will work out, The nice part is, I did have one talent, and by the age of about 6, I could erase these little cars, as you know, Joy. I was a scale-electric driver, right, with these little hands and fingers. So at the age of 6, I was the national under-10 champion. And by the age of 9, I was national champion of all age groups. And then before I was 10, I was the fastest scale-electric racer on the planet. So I was really, really blessed with good hands. I may not have been blessed with this too much, So I knew once we could get to the surgery, which is what I was seeing when I went and saw when I was in medical specialist training, I knew I would be good, once we could get away from the books, So I said, let's persevere, let's keep going, And eventually I realized that that was where I could make a difference and probably have some impact and get back to my purpose. Now I now seen it coming through, that's what's kind of happening. Now, the last thing I want to mention is what we're going to do here, And I think that comes down to the love of people. Because we love people to be happy and enjoy their experience, and also staff. We built this facility for them because we want to see the staff happy. We want to see people come and they get what we could give them and we could deliver. So how are we going to do that for poor people? Because that's what I want to do, right? I don't want people to suffer as I did there, if I could help it. So the aim is to be able to bring quality, affordable eye care to poor people. And how are we going to do that? Well, we have a company which will make money, and we have a non-profit, which is Trinidad Eye Hospital. And Trinidad Eye Hospital will have programs to do free eye surgeries, to do free screening, so we pick up disease before it happens. And CVRS will also have programs where we do subsidized programs to help people who cannot afford the high prices to still be able to access services and get surgeries. And we will bring the first world technology here, right at their doorstep, so that whatever you see in the US or you see in the UK, we'll do it here, and we will do it using telemedicine and the latest technology, and we'll give it to the poorest people. These state-of-the-art facilities, we call it peripheral centers, will feed into the major center, which will be centralized, and we'll call that the hub. It will provide employment, it will uplift communities, it will give sight and hope to the poor and blind. And we will build it around three things. We'll build it around love for people, patients, and staff, compassion for patients, and kindness, which is what we see already. Thank you very much. I'd like to bring Franca back to carry on with the program.